Hi friends, today we're talking about sonic cohesion in an album as well as developing a concept album and also the difference between a concept album and a narrative album. And I'm wearing a little Popra gear because I'm going to talk about it in terms of Popra and how I constructed my latest album. Okay, let's get this done. In terms of sonic cohesion is making everything kind of fit together. An example of sonic cohesion versus non-sonic cohesion would be comparing two Taylor Swift albums. So if you look at 1989, that is an album that is very cohesive. Every song feels like it fits on that album, that it doesn't make as much sense when it's separated from its context. The sounds are very similar. They have that kind of solid electronica and 80s vibe, and she strays pretty blatantly from the country sounds that she's been known for. It's not kind of like a partial album. It is a very this is the sound, this is the genre, and everything fits within that sound and genre and those rules. An example of a non-sonic cohesive album by Taylor Swift would be the one prior, Red, which is not cohesive. It's country in one song, and then suddenly it's pop. There are songs that could have fit easily on Fearless on the album, and there are songs that could have easily fit on 1989. So because of that, the album in and of itself is not cohesive. And there are great examples throughout all artists where you'll find albums that are more or less cohesive, where the sound is more or less apparent. So another example of a concept album would be something like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. You have this idea of what the band wanted their feel to be. They had this concept for an album upon which they built the songs, and they formed the production and songs to fit within that concept of this creation of a new band that was called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is a long name for a band. Probably not the best idea to name your band Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's long. I mean, people would get it now because it's a classic Beatles album. Another great example of a concept album would be War by U2. An interesting example would be Battle Studies by John Mayer. And I think that's an interesting example because I wouldn't call that album sonically cohesive. He explores different styles within the album, and yet they all follow the same lyrical concept, which is the view of love as a battlefield. Because so many songs are focused on that thought, it becomes a conceptual album. A narrative album is an album in which all of the songs follow a specific narrative. They all go along with the story. So The Wall by Pink Floyd and Tommy by The Who are great examples of this. Often they're called rock operas if there are different characters in the narrative. A more modern example of kind of a big narrative / rock opera album is Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. There's also Because the Internet follows kind of a narrative by Childish Gambino. That's kind of the breakdown of definitions of how those things work and a few different examples of where they work and how they fit. So with Popra I would call a concept album because it follows a singular concept, and that concept is let's turn classic opera melodies into modern pop songs. And then I also had to kind of display that emotionality that was present in opera. So a lot of the songs tended to be about love, the relationship with deity, loss, and passion, because those are themes that are repeated throughout operas. That was kind of the concept I started with. And it's smart to come up with a concept to kind of direct an album. It's not necessary if you have a collection of songs that you think are high quality, but limits can help in creativity. A concept can be a more basic idea. Looking at my previous album, The Patient, the concept was suffering, and that's it. It was just suffering. There was no deeper meaning behind it. It was just suffering. Following a specific set of rules really helps with concept. Saying, I want all my songs to be about suffering helps you define what can go and what cannot go on an album. It doesn't help as much with sequencing necessarily, although it can, especially if there's a narrative component to the concept album. In terms of sonic cohesion, I found that what helped me was to limit what I was allowed to listen to before creation of production. I knew that I wanted Popra to incorporate the feel of classical crossover as well as modern electronica. And I also really love the work of Postal Service. And so I thought if I could incorporate elements that they sought after in their music, I could create something unique and kind of an evolution from what they'd done. So I created a playlist for myself that only included a few select albums and artists that I felt fit within the overall concept that I was going for. So I wasn't listening to a lot of rock and roll, especially on days when I was focusing on the production of Popra. And I would recommend that to anyone who's trying to build a sonically cohesive piece of music, to find the genre that you want to fit in and listen to the deeper depths of that genre and make sure you're extremely familiar with it. Listening to separate genres and becoming genreless in your music is a great thing. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just making sure that that combination of genres is consistent can really help with sonic cohesion. I also set another rule for myself that I felt helped me limit what I did and expand my abilities in other areas. And that was the limitation of guitar on the album. Popra only has 3 songs with any guitar on it. In every case where there is guitar, it is used in a limited way. So on Mephistopheles, the guitar only comes in during the chorus to emphasize the melody. In Unaware, the guitar is used in the background and it's subtle and it fits with the vibe of the song, but it doesn't try to interfere with anything, doesn't try to take over. And in Torn Down, it's used to accentuate the chords that are played by the piano. There's really nothing going on in terms of guitar on this album, and that helped me refine the sound and keep it from sounding too much like a rock album. It also helped me to develop new ways to create distortion within electronica. Those are some major things that I did to create a sense of sonic cohesion. I hope that helps you guys create a sense of sonic cohesion in your album, or to look for concepts that can drive the music that you create. Hope you enjoyed this little discussion on sonic cohesion, Popra, how it functions, how concept and narrative work in music. Subscribe if you enjoyed this at all, which, I mean, if you did, Brad. If you didn't, it's understandable. I'm new at this. I'm trying to kind of delve into the YouTube world. But if you do like it, subscribe, smash that bell. Let's get this going. I'm trying to help my music get to more people because I think it's great stuff. I think Popra was an awesome album and I'm really proud of it and I enjoy listening to it. Like, I honestly like it, and I would want artists to do more albums like Popra. Like, if someone else came out with this album, I'd be pumped about it and I want to give it a listen. So I hope you feel the same. And any questions, if there's anything you want me to do on Popra, any specific songs you want me to talk about, please leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And that's it. That's all I got. Catch you guys later on the flip.